Good afternoon, Nompu. Now, during proceedings today, we've heard of how Bosasa CEO Gavin Watson has been described as the kind of person who does not have an office, does not have a desk, does not have a secretary, and does not have a computer. Sounds very weird to be describing a CEO like this, someone who does not have a desk. But I suppose from what Venter has told the commission, it worked in his favor in the sense that he told the commission that Watson would make illegal demands. So he would would instruct people to do illegal things on his behalf, and then after that discard them in an effort to get rid of the evidence that they would have then gathered doing all these illegal things on his behalf. And some of these illegal things he detailed as paying for a former SABC COO, Hlaudi Motsoeneng's legal fees, paying the 500,000 rand into Andile Ramaphosa's foundation, and as well as paying money into Morocco consultation. He also detailed a few others. He also spoke about how he was instructed to take a parcel to the Department of Correctional Services former CFO Patrick Gillingham, and he says that he was instructed to go get a package, and he didn't look inside the package, but it looked like it was a parcel with money that had money inside. And he said that it also confirmed that there was money in the bag and in the parcel that he was meant to pass on to Patrick Gillingham, because Agritzi had testified to say that he was actually going around handing over parcels with money in them to government officials. I know we'll remember that from the last time that Angelo Agritzi was here at the Commission of Inquiry. And he says that Gillingham did not ask any questions about the parcel, about what was in it. He just said thank you. It's almost as though he knew, he was expecting it and he knew what was in it, and he only said thank you. He was then questioned as to why he was meeting up with Patrick Gillingham, and he said the purpose of the meeting was basically to discuss the tax implications that would have impacted him, the tax implications on his pension payout. I think this was when he was leaving the correctional services back then. But another person who also came on that he also testified about is Louis Persona. Louis Persona was the person who replaced Andres Fentonda as Bosasa CFO, and he explained how Persona had come to his office requesting that he reduce his salary from 137,000 rand to 90,000 rand, and he said that he was rather concerned about this, and he was worried why he needed to reduce it, because the only time you'd need to reduce someone's salary is in the event that they are being demoted, but in this instance he was being promoted. He then, Persona later explained to Venter, saying that the balance of the 137,000 rand would be paid to him by Gavin Watson in cash, and he needed this money to be reduced because he also wanted his curator to believe and know that he was being paid less and he was earning less, so that he could pay less towards his creditors. But Venter told the commission that he believed this was illegal and it was wrong, because this would then defraud SARS as well as Persona's creditors. But he says, unfortunately, even though he knew that this was wrong and this was somewhat illegal, and you see Judge Raymond Zondo questioning him why he had done this, he said he was following instructions. And you also see evidence leader advocate Molefe also questioning him why he went ahead and did this, despite knowing that this was illegal and that it would defraud SARS as well as Persona's creditors. And he just says that he was following instructions and so on. Another thing that also came back is, we remember Angelo Agritzi's testimony. He testified about an orchestrated server crash, and he said that, Venter says that he had no knowledge of a crash and loss of information, and he's saying that if there was any loss of information, they would have known known as auditors, especially if any financial information was lost, they would have been informed that this information was lost and because of the crash. But he also did mention how he was, during a meeting he had with Gavin Watson had called someone from the IT department who had been walking past the office, and they did talk about server problems, and they did mention the word crash, but he does not recall a crash ever happening after that, despite having been in the room when a crash was being discussed and something about a crash was being discussed in that meeting that he was present in. One other thing is that he was also requested by Gavin Watson to do an interview with Carte Blanche, and he says that Watson was wanted him rather to discredit Agreeti during this interview, and he says that the information that he shared during the interview was true, and he just wanted Gavin Watson, wanted the country to know that Angelo Agreeti was not clean, and he also had some shenanigans of his own.
Mbali, what can we expect next? I see there empty chairs behind you.
So we had an extended session this time around. The proceedings continued until just after 2 p.m. today. The commission will be resuming tomorrow at 10, and we expect Angelo Agreeti to make a second comeback to the commission and possibly respond to some of the allegations that were made by Pete Venter, who also spoke about how Angelo Agreeti had threatened him and used some fabricated invoices to threaten him into submission and into basically participating in bringing down his plan to bring down Gavin Watson. So that's what we can expect tomorrow. But for now, the proceedings have been adjourned until tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Mbali. Well, let's cross live to those proceedings.